heck? What is all that? What on earth? Hey, can somebody fix this? Even the teleprompter's going too slow. Christopher, what's going on? Someone needs to resolve this immediately. Damn it. Check this out.
Sorry, Professor. Here we go. It would appear that the program I've been working on my computer outside just now might have been creating some intense interference with the studio equipment.
Well, stop it. All right. Sounds like the beginning of an alien invasion to me.
Well, unfortunately, there are no aliens here.
Unfortunately, yes.
But I think I have the next best explanation for the excessive theatrics.
Really? Please,
Yes.
do share.
Artificial intelligence.
Really? Okay, now we're back live. You expect me to believe all that voodoo kerfluffle that we just witnessed was some computerized being getting into the studio system and sending everything haywire?
Absolutely not. That was merely theatrical. I thought
Okay.
it would be entertaining for the audience.
Yeah, quite
That's
entertaining.
That sort of thing is the stereotypical portrayal of artificial intelligence as per a Hollywood style.
Okay.
Think Terminator and iRobot. The reality of artificial intelligence is much different than what we see in the movies.
Well, now that we've cleared that up, hi folks, this is Don Frazier. I have with me today Mac Reiner to discuss the intriguing topic of weaponized artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Professor. I'm happy to be here. Artificial intelligence is a curious topic indeed, and it has created a rather heated debate on many fronts as a result of the ethical implications behind utilizing it as a weapon. Before we can begin to understand the inner workings of weaponized artificial intelligence, however, it is important that our audience understands the history of its evolution, beginning with its most basic implications in our everyday lives,
Okay.
and how it became so integrated into our basic human lifestyle.
So we have lots to talk about. Let's dive in right after this commercial break.
Don't skip! Don't skip! Don't skip! Hello, my name is Christopher Bartlett. I'm the studio manager with the McWhinney History Education Group, and you may be used to seeing my name in the end credits, or sometimes you'll see me sitting here as a special guest host. But right now, I'm here to talk to you about an amazing new opportunity. We have created a Patreon. To put it simply, if you enjoy the content on this YouTube channel, then you can head on over to Patreon, donate money to us, and become a patron. And through your donations, more content will be made. Basically, it breaks down like this. With $10, you will receive a short thank you video from Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio. With $25, you will be able to take part in a patron-only poll. With $50, you will get swag. These items include a choice between 2 prints of paintings and signed copies of Dr. Frazier's books, Blood on the Bayou and Thunder Across the Swamp. With $75, you will receive exclusive videos that will not be available anywhere else, not on YouTube and not on SoundCloud. These videos will be just for you, the patrons. With $100, your name will appear in the credits. See that right there? That's where your name can be. Finally, for $500, we will send you a signed collector's edition of Phil Collins' book, The Alamo and Beyond. Yes, it is signed by Phil Collins himself. And remember, for all the higher donations you do, you also get the stuff from the lower ones as well. So it's pretty cool. And when we reach our goal of $5,000, Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio will give you their own personal ranking of the presidents, from worst to best. Coming from the perspective of a historian like Dr. Frazier and a political science expert like Dr. Fabrizio, you really don't want to miss their ranking and why they put them in that order. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, if you believe in our mission of making history accessible to everyone, then head on over to our Patreon and donate as much money as you're willing to give. You'll help us continue what we're doing, and you'll get amazing gifts as our way of saying thank you. Now we return to your regularly scheduled programming.
And welcome back to Historical Trends.
Artificial intelligence is not categorized by merely the glorified cinematic robotics we see in most movies.
Okay.
Those are scripted based solely off of futuristic theories. Artificial intelligence is in the programs we use on a daily basis. Think about Google, Amazon, and Siri.
Okay.
It is encoded into most of the software that makes up our very existence. Social media is orchestrated by such programs. The advertising market is dictated by algorithms that monitor your online activity. All the posts you like, all the commentary you make, the accounts you follow, each is another variable in the equation that determines just exactly what company should have advertisements popping up on your feed.
Wow, even our postings and comments?
Absolutely.
There's no telling what I'm going to start getting then. All right.
Think about that sportswear brand that you can't stop obsessing over on Instagram.
Sportswear brand, that's what I always obsess about. Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
That celebrity whose posts you never fail to retweet. Every tap is another indication to an underlying system as to what your interests are, and by extension, what company should be trying to get your attention.
Okay.
These are all basic examples of the most simple forms of artificial intelligence.
So far, I don't hear anything about weapons.
No, sir.
Okay.
This is the basis that
Okay,
our
so
audience
this is the
has to
basic
understand.
technology. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
We
Very
have to
cool.
start somewhere.
Yes, we do.
Historically, artificial intelligence was a term first introduced by John McCarthy in 1956.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
It was a topic of discussion at the Dartmouth Conference.
Okay, Dartmouth Conference.
Following the trail of a series of dissertations and theses done by such innovators such as McCarthy, Nathan Rochester, Arthur Samuel, and numerous other scientists, artificial intelligence began a rapid evolution in the 1950s, and it progressed to the present day.
Okay. This whole technological mess goes back all the way to the 50s?
Absolutely. It most certainly does. Some of the first small-scale AI programs were developed that early on. For example, the first interactive computerized chess game was invented to challenge world-class competitor Joe Sanchez, and the game certainly gave him a run for his money.
Checkmate.
Indeed.
So, how do you technically define artificial intelligence?
Well, artificial intelligence is technically defined as the capability of a machine to mimic human behavior.
Okay.
In fact, there are two distinctions of AI. The common one is now referred to as narrow or weak AI. This is defined as a form of artificial intelligence that has one specific task.
Okay.
For example, in a smartphone, you have facial recognition. A narrow AI program would be the program that controls that. Another example would be artificial intelligence that controls how a car automatically steers itself into a parking lot.
The death of parallel parking.
Indeed.
We'll never have to do that again. We'll let the AI do it.
Thank goodness, because
Yeah.
I can't parallel park to save my
Neither
life.
can I.
Another example would be a gaming application.
Okay.
Just a simple, fun thing on your phone. These are singular tasks that a computer system would be cognitively more efficient at completing than a human mind. But the system would be restricted to completing only those tasks.
Okay.
Nothing more. The other distinction of artificial intelligence is referred to as a general or a strong AI. Rather than being programmed to perform one specific task, the reality of general AI is that it can successfully fulfill any tasks given to it at a rate unparalleled by the human brain. In essence, it is a completely independent program. Now, you must understand, perfect, true, and strong AI is not common nor necessarily fully developed. There are multiple examples of complex AI systems being developed and programmed into robotic bodies.
Robotic bodies. We're talking robots. Okay.
Heck, you can look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some of the most absurd videographic evidence exists all over it.
Autonomous weapons have been described as the third revolution in warfare, after gunpowder and nuclear bombs. They could mount rapid, devastating attacks on a huge scale. Thousands of experts, including Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, have signed an open letter calling for a ban on the weapons. They say drones that can autonomously find and eliminate people meeting certain criteria are feasible within years, not decades. But calls for a ban have been rejected by the world's 10 largest military powers, and Musk has warned that international competition for AI superiority is the most likely cause of World War III. So, do we have a recipe for disaster? Let's start with the current situation. During Obama's presidency, the number of American troops in war zones dropped by around 90%, but there were 10 times more drone strikes. Russia has multiple unmanned drone tanks in development and completely autonomous armed vehicles guarding missile bases. America plans to enable its Abrams tanks to control robotic wingman vehicles to attack the enemy while protecting the manned tank. It is also considering a remote-controlled version of the high-speed Ripsaw vehicle. Air power is already used with relative impunity, and soon the fighters will use AI to control drone wingmen, able to carry weapons, test air defenses, and keep human pilots even further from danger. Around the world, anti-ballistic missile defenses and drones are diminishing nuclear deterrence. This is the US Navy's new unmanned ship, designed to hunt submarines and launch surface weapons. It will cost around $20,000 per day to operate, compared to $700,000 per day for a manned destroyer. In a simulation test with the Air Force Research Lab, AI drones repeatedly defeated a human pilot. Former Air Force battle manager Gene Lee tried and failed to hit the drones and was destroyed by them every time. He said they seemed to be aware of his intentions and reacted instantly to his movements and attacks. Autonomous weapons would be cheap to mass produce and may become available to terrorists and dictators on the black market. A recent report by the US Defense Science Board called for immediate action to accelerate military AI development and understand the capabilities of other powers. It also noted that commercial drones are rapidly improving and private AI firms are well ahead of the military. Some argue AI will reduce accidental casualties by making fewer mistakes. If a soldier believes someone is a threat, their life depends on making a quick decision. A robot, on the other hand, could react a fraction of a second before it's fired on, or even wait until it's attacked. But the weapons could also be extremely effective at assassinations, subduing populations, and selectively killing particular ethnic groups. The second revolution in warfare brought the world close to World War III with the Cuban Missile Crisis. The third revolution may be even more volatile. We also need to plan for an even greater threat from AI itself. Many experts believe it will surpass human intelligence in the next few decades. It may then assume full control of the world's networked weapons. Would it use them for peacekeeping, or for bringing humanity to a quick end? Whether or not humans retain control, an AI arms race may be a race to Armageddon.
Now that we have established a background for what artificial intelligence actually is and what it truly entails, we can delve into the deeper context of weaponized AI.
Here's the good stuff.
Yes, sir. The primary and general concern that must be addressed is the capability to control weaponized AI. An independent program of an extremely high level of intelligence will eventually begin to adapt to its own environment and evolve on its own. Some researchers conclude that a super intelligent AI is unlikely to exhibit human emotions, such as love and hate, and that there's no reason to expect AI to become intentionally benevolent or malevolent.
Okay.
Two of the most distinct scenarios which researchers have come to agree upon as the most plausible circumstances in which things could go horribly wrong both involve issues with coding.
Okay.
First and foremost, an issue would obviously arise if the AI were to be programmed to fulfill a devastating task. When one refers to an autonomous weapons system, they are referring to a system that is designed to kill. In good and just hands, this would not be an issue, because a governing body would be making decisions concerning what targets are eliminated and why they are chosen.
If all men were angels,
Indeed.
it'd be a lot easier, yes.
Like any other international issue, though, a competition would arise between rivaling countries. This would increase AI development exponentially, and in the heat of a competition, any number of problems could arise. In order to compensate for the intelligence of rivaling AI systems, each would be designed to be impossible to turn off.
Nice. Can't even kick the plug out of the wall. All right.
If an error were to occur in the coding process, the system would be susceptible to outside parties hacking the system,
Yeah, I know that goes on now.
even in the simplest things.
Yes.
Now, if no errors were to occur in the process of coding the system, then arises the issue of maintaining control of it.
Yeah.
Once the AI is set to a task, it is feasible that the systems governing the body may lose control of it. In all of the efforts to prevent competitors from shutting the system down, the failsafe may prove too effective, ultimately locking its appropriate monitor out of the system.
Wow. So we could lose control of our own killing machines.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yikes.
There are countless unpredictable scenarios in which the machines we designed to protect everything we stand for could turn around and bring the entirety of it crumbling down.
Nice.
This brings me to the next highlight. An issue would arise if AI were programmed to complete a task that would have a positive benefit, but the program uses a destructive method to fulfill this task. This issue could arise with even the smallest miscommunication in the requirements made by the programmer, and therefore the goals of the programmer could then differentiate from the goals of the artificial intelligence.
That's a little complicated.
Within this issue comes the concept of interpreting a command too literally. Say you have a car programmed to drive you to the hospital as fast as possible. Once the task is set, your result may be a high-speed chase with you in the passenger seat, carsick and panicked because the AI system interpreted your command in such a fashion that you did not get the result you wanted.
Going down alleyways, down sidewalks, running over fruit vendors. Yes, okay.
Another scene out of a terribly terrifying movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But the task would have been accomplished in the most direct way possible.
Yeah, got the result you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Think of some of the issues with Tesla, for instance. I mean, there's been wrecks with autonomous cars already. Yeah, there's some growing pains, apparently.
Indeed, no perfect system exists thus far. It's a good point. They haven't gotten all of the bugs worked out yet. The ultimate problem is the magnitude of unpredictability involved with such a strong AI system. The full potential of such a system is completely undetermined because we've never actually developed a truly strong AI system. It may well be something we experience in our lifetime, though.
Yeah, I bet it is. All right, let's take this onto the battlefield during our Q&A session, right after this break.
History has become one of the most fought-over battlegrounds in terms of shifting people's views and opinions about their country. In response to this, we have decided to launch a website called Go To History that will become your home for clear-eyed history content. Our objective is to put history out there, free of agendas, and allow you, the viewers, to decide what you believe and decide how to interpret this information. With experienced professors such as Dr. Don Frazier and Dr. Stephen Hardin teaching courses and creating agenda-free content for students and just plain history enthusiasts, the content of Go To History is vastly informative and unbiased.
Hey history people, it's Phil Collins here. I am just giving a shout out to a couple of guys that you're going to be hearing from. And they're good friends of mine, but they're also incredibly knowledgeable historians. Dr. Donald Frazier and Dr. Stephen Hardin. Both great friends of mine, both helped me out with my book on the Alamo. And two guys, if you don't know much about history, these are the first two guys you should go to. Okay, what they don't know isn't worth knowing. Don Frazier, Steve Hardin, I hope you enjoy their presentations.
My name is Evan Williams, a history major at McMurray University, and I love the layout of the Go To website. I mean, it is singularly built from the ground up with user convenience in mind. Every study available is within a single Courses tab, with each lesson having a single page for each of its individual videos, text, visuals, and quizzes, all at easy grasp. This is most definitely history made simple.
Please log on to www.gotohistory.com.
And we're back on Historical Trends, visiting with Mac Reiner about the potential military uses of artificial intelligence, which you just explained to us. So, Mac, tell me how AI might work on the battlefield. Are we talking drones or?
Yes, a form of a drone exists in almost every tool used by the military.
Really?
Planes, tanks, you pick your poison.
Submarines?
Yes, there's so much computerization in a submarine. Think about, for example, putting a plane on autopilot.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Click, take a nap.
The reality of it is they don't need a pilot in a plane. This goes for even just a commercial airliner. That carries.
I need a pilot in the plane.
That's the only reason that pilots really and truly are still seated in the pilot seat, is strictly because it's traditional. Most people in the generations that we have now wouldn't be comfortable with a computerized plane. They trust humans more than they trust automated sources.
But in the future, you're saying that we may just jump into any form of transportation, trains, freighters, anything.
Yes.
And it'll just be automated. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to ask, what about automated logistics on the battlefield? Do you think that'll be a thing? Automated trucks bringing ammo and food up to the front, things like that.
I think yes, sir.
Huh. In World War I, they were using horses. So just a mere 100 years ago, we had to go and get, old Cheddar out of the barn and have that animal haul this stuff up to the front line. And now we're talking about just getting the cargo hauler out of the barn. That's all right. That's pretty cool. So I understand speaking of old Cheddar, I understand the Marines have what they call a battle burro, which is essentially, looks like a donkey to me, and they use that as an ammo hauler. Could that be considered AI? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, sir. That is definitely under the distinction of artificial intelligence.
Okay. So what are people going to contribute to battlefields in the future?
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking and being the weak little meat bags that get splattered if something hits them?
Not necessarily. There is still a great deal of value to having soldiers on foot in the battlefield. Now, that is a huge point of contention nowadays, because on one side you have people can do it better. They have the emotion, they have the capacity to outthink a computer in the sense that they can think ethically, they can think morally. A computer can't do that. There has to be some level of human thinking within the battlefield. Otherwise, you have an unprecedented number of casualties.
That critical thinking element, that's huge. Because back to your conversation earlier, if a weapon system is set to achieve a particular task, it may take shortcuts that were unforeseen by the programmer. Like, I need a better field of fire. Well, great. That means we need to eliminate your headquarters because it's in the way of the artillery battery. But I'm in the headquarters. I'm sorry, Hal. You have to go. And they vaporize your headquarters. So, yeah, there's somebody pulling the levers. But you've already said earlier that things could kind of get out of hand.
Absolutely.
All right. So, one of the things that is critical to AI, and especially its application on the battlefield, is how fast it can operate. All right. So China is actually taking a very keen interest in AI. And in fact, they're probably leading the world in something called quantum computing. And quantum computing is really going to speed up the number of processes that can be done in a millisecond, which is getting us closer and closer to lifelike, or even beyond lifelike, artificial intelligence. Okay, we've about worn this out. Let's take a break and see what our viewers want to know. We'll be right back.
Bear Leader Tours. Where will Bear Leader Tours take you? Everywhere. Paris. Bruges. Trieste. Battlefields. Pearl Harbor. Pacific beaches. New Orleans. Join the adventure.
www.mcwhinney.org
And we're back. All right, let's talk about artificial intelligence with some of our viewers. They've been sending in questions. So we've got one from Anita Mandahug. That's a nice handle. Please.
Who is leading the worldwide market in artificial intelligence?
Who is that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. China, by far.
Okay.
And this is in multiple respects. An interesting factor that I found quite surprising was their health market. They are far exceeding the worldwide market in their health industry with artificial intelligence.
So we're talking about Asian medicine. You know, it used to be acupuncture, and now it's artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Wow.
It's due to the way that their population is displaced. Their elder generation far outpopulates their younger generation. So
they just haven't had replacement. Population.
There's no one to take care of them. So they have robotic systems that track medicine, that are quite literal physical caretakers for their elderly population.
All the elderly population, or just the privileged few, or do you know?
More of the privileged than not, but it's becoming more and more common.
Okay.
Because
you got to start somewhere.
Yes, there's a great need for it, so it's more accessible.
So a robot nurse.
Yes.
Wow, that's kind of wild. But they're also, getting out there in terms of military AI as well. And they're working on something called quantum computing. And I don't understand quantum computing, but apparently it allows for the processors to crunch a lot more data faster, which may create that sort of battle bot that we may lose control of. So it's not just robotic nurses; it may be robotic machine gunners.
Yes, and there's all of their day-to-day implications for artificial intelligence very much go hand in hand with the military applications of this artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's always the military that gets us our really good innovations.
Yes,
things like
absolutely.
Velcro and.
Absolutely.
Did you know that Velcro?
Really?
Well, it actually came out of the space race, but but space race was just kind of an extension of ballistic missile technology. One of the things they came up with was Velcro.
Learn something new every day.
Well, that's why you're in college. Okay, so what's the next question? This one comes from Chuck Roast. When did the rise of AI truly begin impacting the general population?
Well, artificial intelligence began conceptually around the 1950s.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And yes, we did discuss this. But it didn't really begin impacting the general population until more towards the 80s, even the 90s.
Okay.
That's when the most hands-on artificial intelligence became accessible.
Okay. So 80s is when it's really picking up. So it pretty much tracks along with computerization of everything. Okay. So who exactly coined the term artificial intelligence?
That would be, we discussed this earlier in our show. American scientist John McCarthy, specifically in the year 1955.
Okay, so it's McCarthy is the father of the term.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this one's coming from Rick O'Shea. What are the most common misconceptions in regards to AI? How would you say the use of AI has benefited our nation, and also what are some of the dangers?
Well, some of the misconceptions are because of our Hollywood take on artificial intelligence that people see more of the negatives than the positives. Now, granted, there's a large gray area with the ethical issue of weaponized artificial intelligence, but there's very much a practical side to it. This goes back to the issue of humans in the battlefield.
Sure.
This is where our nation has quite benefited from our implications of artificial intelligence.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, drones are everywhere.
Yes.
And that's certainly AI, but it's driven AI.
Yes.
Okay.
And to some extent, that has created an evolution of skill sets within the military. It used to be a very, very finite percentage of the military that was hands-on with computers, with cyber intelligence, with cybersecurity. Now, that is one of the most needed job positions probably within the military in every single branch.
Oh wow.
I myself have spoken to a handful of recruiters from each different military branch, and the top of the list is always cybersecurity, cyber intelligence, just because it is such a prevalent field
and growing
within. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So this next one comes in from Bill Fold. All right. Why should the general population care about AI, and its utilization against other countries, and I guess conversely against our country?
It could create a political debacle.
Tell me how.
To some extent.
Explain that.
Well, say we'll come up with a theoretical scenario.
Okay.
So, president issues a declaration of war against another country.
Okay.
Primarily, we are using drones. We are using computers.
But do we even declare war on other countries anymore?
No,
it seems
I
like
think
we just say, man, we got a military emergency, and then Congress appropriates the funds. Next thing you know, there's a predator over the target. And have you seen the series Jack Ryan?
No, sir.
On Amazon Prime? Yeah, it's all about, drones having places under 100% 24/7 surveillance. I mean, so that's kind of what we're talking about. All right. Sorry, I interrupted.
That's quite all right. I'll have to add that to the watch list.
Yeah.
Well, the problem lies in, when we discussed earlier, the process of appropriating a target to a computer and it going by the most direct manner in which it's supposed to accomplish its task.
Sure.
So eliminating a target in a military field as a computer, say there is a mission to eliminate a unit of 100 enemy soldiers.
Okay.
Well,
so you got a company of troops dug in, and you send your AI weapons to go over and wipe them out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, there is a village within a 2-mile radius of this location.
Yeah.
There's no safe way to eliminate from, say, an aerial assault, from a drone, from a tank.
So collateral damage is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
A computer will not take into, unless it is programmed to do so, and the complexity of that sort of programming is out of this world.
Yeah, exponentially tougher.
Yes, and not at this point in time reliable or developed enough.
So the way to defeat it would be just to have human shields.
Yes.
Yeah, just line your trenches with infants and nuns and orphans.
And then everything becomes irrelevant.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden
from a technological standpoint,
your battle bot just killed all the nuns and orphans, and the news media is not going to pick up on the 100 dead enemy soldiers.
No.
They're going to talk about all the innocent lives lost. Okay, I get that.
That becomes an issue, especially if there is a very, very small % of collateral damage. So you have 5 soldiers of your own being held captive with a ratio of 100 enemy soldiers.
Sure.
The computer won't think about that. A computer will simply think, this is efficient, we're eliminating a large percentage of our enemy line.
Yeah, and the algorithm says, what's 5?
5 in 100.
Yeah.
The percentage isn't heavy enough.
What's a life in the affairs of the state? That's what
Indeed.
Mussolini said when his motorcade ran over a kid. And one of his aides said, Il Duce, he just ran over this 10-year-old kid. And he said, what's one life in the affairs of the state?
Exactly.
So maybe that's what we're looking about. Yikes. All right, I think that may be the end of our viewer questions. Mac, thanks for coming by and having this conversation with us about AI and the way it may end up on a battlefield near you in the very near future. So for Historical Trends, thanks for watching.